Brother, the whole world is under the power of the evil one, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Welcome brothers and sisters. I want to testify about a church of Satan located in the center of our city, for the devil has established his throne in many churches where he is ruling. The Bible say, "To the angel of the church in Pergamum write, these are the words of the one who holds the sharp, double-edged sword. I know where you live, where the throne of Satan sits. Yet you have held fast to my name and have not denied your faith in me." Brother, I was invited to a church for I had problems. I never knew that Satan had built many churches in the end of time, whose purpose is to capture the stars and destiny of the innocent. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full. When I joined this church of Satan, quickly I saw celebrity, politician and notorious men of God, who came to the prince of this world for power, money and the goods of this world. I saw thousands of men and women coming to the ancient serpent, the arch-enemy of God, for wealth and power. They are willing to sell their souls for money. Brother, in this churches I saw ancient gods. I saw the fallen angels, the former residents of heaven. I saw the watchers, the giants and the Nephilim. When I got initiated in this satanic church, the arch-enemy of God Lucifer assigned dwarves, demon, mythological dragon and monsters to work with me in order to destroy humanity. I saw the army of titans and Olympians under the leadership of the devil. These were the adversary of God and humanity. They were tremendous and breathtaking. When I saw the giants, the titan and the ancient gods behind Lucifer in this church, I was amazed by this ancient army of the dragon. The Bible say, "Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, with great fury the devil has come down to you, knowing he has only a short time." And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. Welcome brothers. I am the fifth or the last of my family. I could never predict what would happen in my life, for everything was fine in my father's house. Indeed, we were living a normal life and things seems perfect and going well. My father was working hard to raise his family. As a result, we did not lack of anything. My father was the cornerstone of the family, financing our study and supporting us. We really had a good life until something unexpected and dramatic happened. As a result, our life changed forever. Actually, my father used to travel to different provinces of the country in relation with his work. He never had a health issue and was in good health. I remember as my father was on a work journey in the southeast of the country, we got the unexpected and shocking news of his death. We never expected this to happen. This news was a shock to the family, for our father did not have health problem and we never even think that something like this could happen. When this news reached my ears, I was shaken, and I could not accept my dad was dead. It sounded unreal. Very quickly I became suspicious. I said in my heart, Dad was in good health and he was prosperous. Someone must be responsible for this, and he must pay. I was confused and angry in my heart, and I made up my mind to uncover the truth about the death of my father, for I had no peace and I could not sleep in the night. My heart was troubled and I was in a wonderland. In that moment of anger, the devil saw the opportunity to get closer to me. I remember I was sitting in front of the gate of our place pondering, when suddenly I saw a friend, who handed me an invitation to his church. I did not mind reading the invitation, I just put it in my pocket. Later I got in the house and I opened it. When I looked, I saw that it was a church invitation. This was a church that was located in the city center. Many days later I felt a need to visit this church. On that day when I got to the church, I saw that there was nothing appealing about this place, but I got inside anyway. When I got in this church, I saw a number of people waiting in the reception. I noticed that these people in the reception had removed their shoes. Therefore I had to remove my shoes. Sometime later I got inside the main hall. These people welcomed me and asked me, "Can you tell us what people say about our church?" I found this question really strange. I said it's just a church like other church. I was given an invitation, that is why I came. I could not understand that this was a church opened by the order of Satan. I was actually in a church of Satan. When they asked me about my problem, I began to tell them about the tragic and unexpected death of my father. I said to them, I have just lost my father, but I do not believe that the death of my father was natural. I want to know who has killed my father. After hearing my concern, these people took my name, and they asked me, brother, we need your permission to transmit you light. I found this strange when they talked to me about light. What is certain is that this light was not Jesus Christ. When I agreed to receive the so-called light, they laid hand on me. Quickly I was introduced to a strange god called Tsu, who is the god of union and gathering. In spite of the fact that I saw strange things in this church, nonetheless my determination was to uncover the killer of my father. In truth, I was already enchanted, and in a strange ritual I was transmitted the mysterious light. I was required to attend the church in order to learn and to be initiated. Brother, this church was really huge and there was a countless crowds of people. The church was called the Paradise on the Earth. There were the elite of the country in this church, even pastors. These pastors that were attending the Church of Satan are popular in the country and their churches have symbol of Satan. Given that I came under manipulation and enchantment, I became attached to this satanic church, yet I come from a Christian family where there were even men of God. Right after joining this church I began to experience paranormal phenomena, for my spiritual eyes were being opened. In order to operate in the spirit world with spiritual entity, there were strange manifestation happening to me. These paranormal phenomena were our preparation to the spirit world. This was necessary in order to remove fear and mercy in us. Through this training we were deprived of human feeling of empathy and mercy. When I joined this satanic place, first teaching that I receive in this church was about the angle of the pyramid. In fact, the pyramid is the symbol of men rising to God and God descending to men. When the pyramid is reverse in this teaching, it was called the star. The priest explained that the world is ruled and function according to the law of the pyramid, for when Jesus ran away from the Roman official he went to Egypt, the land of pyramid. The world elite traveled to Egypt to get hidden mystery from the pyramid. The priest said, the newly initiated members were supposed to mount the heaven to God through the pyramid, and God was supposed to come down to them thanks to their offering and sacrifice. Given that the Magi were following stars in heaven and given that the pyramid is upward, our God has saw your star and he must now take over your star. The star is the wealth and goodness that God gave men to enjoy life on the earth. It is the star of men that the devil is after. During this ritual the priest said to the newly initiate, you must wear the symbol of our God, for you belong to our God. The symbol of this strange god was called a meat armor. The priest said there are many God that we should know, and there are many Jesus. On that day the priest introduced to us many Jesus, such as the Jesus of the Son, the Jesus of love and so on. Every one of this Jesus had an attribute and specific power. On that day I was transmitted light and I was assigned to work in the hospital and cause destruction. Many days later I was made know that I was to be initiated in a ritual in the church. On that day at midnight I went to church and joined other newly initiated member. We all came with candle, oil and other object. When we all entered the church the priest closed the gate of the church. It was really dark. Quickly I began to hear sound demonic birds. I heard noises of demonic beast and I felt a wind that was not of the earth. During the initiation 3 fingers were pointed on my back head, in order to mark me with the number 666. Make no mistake, the devil is already marking the population of the earth with the number 666. On that day interdimensional ability to communicate with the spirit world was activated. During this initiation I felt like horns coming out of my head. The feeling of fear was gone. I felt emboldened and empowered. From that day onward I began to control people and dominate them through my eyes. I was then required to attend the church to meet the priest for new assignment. When I went to the temple I entered the holy place to meet the priest. We were a number of newly initiated member. The priest told me, in view of the assignment ahead you need more angels, that would empower you. Each one of you is supposed to receive spiritual entities that would support you. I was given demons. Among them were demons that were of short size. These short demon were dwarves, old people of short size. I was also given an extremely beautiful lady, having hair going down to her bottom. She was a goddess. This diva was the siren Elizabeth. I was given another demon that was hybrid, for he was half human and half animal. There was also a demon who had no hand. This demon had the wing of a bird. These evil spirits were my companion. Wherever I went I was accompanied by them. These demons were my messenger. Finally the priest told me, now you need a permanent companion, a spirit that will always be with you. The priest gave me a demon that was a crow, who was always with me. This crow used to bring me meat to eat. The meat were animal and fish meat in the eyes of the flesh. In truth this meat was human flesh that I was consuming. When I went through initiation, I had to find my own place, where I was supposed to leave an opening at the ceiling for the crow, who was physical and spiritual. The crow was dropping juice for me, which is human blood. Finally the priest assigned me to my first mission of destruction. During my initiation I was handed an eagle that was my eyes. I mean whenever the eagle was flying, whatever he saw while flying was broadcasted in the magic mirror. In terms of my activity in the hospital, I would advise godchildren to always pray before taking a loved one to hospital. This is a place of demonic activity. Given that I was able to operate interdimensional movement physically and spiritually, I could come to the hospital in the shape of a doctor and administer treatment in the appearance of a doctor in order to cause death. In fact, we were administering fake treatment that would aggravate the patient condition and kill him. I destroy a lot of children because I was working in pediatric department. Brother learned to pray before taking the child to the hospital. When people came with sickness of witchcraft origin, I had to overpower the spirit of sickness. We work in a way that people would not suspect the hospital. There came a time I wanted to rise in level and become leader, therefore I needed more sacrifice. On that day when the first victim came to the hospital, he had hypertension issue. Immediately I did invocation and I called the spirit of confusion. When this demon came, he told me that he was in hurry because he was busy performing an urgent task that he had to finish. I asked him to enter the lady nurse that was treating the hypertension patient and confuse her, so that she would administer the wrong medication. Actually this patient came in good condition, for he was walking by himself. There was nothing wrong except high blood pressure. However, when the demon of confusion entered the nurse, the latter went on to administer a medication that was used in reanimation in order to increase blood pressure. When the nurse injected this medication to this patient, his blood pressure increased dramatically. Straight away I saw the demon of confusion that had entered the nurse leaving her body and telling me goodbye, for he was in a hurry. In the meantime the patient that was administered the wrong medication was in convulsion, and the nurse began to panic. In that moment of panic I came and I began to do invocation. In order to capture the soul of this patient, godchildren in hospital must learn to deal with medical problem in prayer. Even if your loved one is not breathing anymore in the hospital, when you pray with determination he will come back, because his soul is just around. He will return to the body if you really pray with faith and determination. Actually, when witches capture human soul in order to kill, to cause death, they encounter a strong wind of resistance and opposition. This wind is a natural defense system, and in this circumstance if you pray for your loved one who is dead and not breathing, his soul is likely to come back to the body, and he will regain consciousness. When I joined this dark church I initiated 4 people and we began to work in a team. By God's grace the Lord saved me from this satanic church. However, 4 of my colleagues that I initiated in this evil church are dead. Therefore I am here testifying by God's grace, while I continue to cause death in hospital. Afterward I was assigned to capture the stars of 5 women. I and my colleague were able to find 5 women thanks to the power of domination and control. I bought many beers and I placed them on the table before my compound, this in order to attract the attention of ladies in the street. It was not long before I catch a victim. Suddenly a lady that was passing turned up and asked to join us in order to drink with us. When she came, we began to chat and I gave her a lot of money to cook me some food, and I told her to invite her friend, and I lied to her that it was my friend's birthday. The lady took the money and called her friend and they cooked the food for us. Later on, when we went all together to a popular bar of our borough, I want to warn women that are after men for money, you are likely to fall prey of Satanist. When we arrive at the bar we began to spend the money that was made available to us by the satanic world. We bought a lot of beers in order to capture the mind and heart of these ladies. My friend looked deep in the eyes of one of the lady and he entered the mind of the lady through telepathic power, and he was able to manipulate the mind and emotion of the lady, and finally he established a connection of love between him and the lady. I was able to enter the mind of one of this lady through telepathic power in order to manipulate her thought. Brother, you can be singing a song in your heart. I reached a level where I could penetrate your mind and become aware of the fact that you are singing that particular song. Unless you are a new creation. We were in this bar with these ladies and we were drinking. Our purpose was to capture their stars, which is their destinies. Let me inform you God people that they are numbers of notorious and popular bar in the city where there are intense demonic activity. These bars have logo of lion, rhinoceros and animals that are demons. These demonic animals intensify their activity from midnight to 4 a.m. We were drinking with these ladies and when they saw that it was 9 they wanted to leave. I could not let that happen for our mission was to capture their star which are God potentiality and wealth in their lives. When it was 9 p.m. I blocked the clock through magic prayer, and we put it in the spirit of these ladies that it was at 9 p.m. When it was 11 p.m. in their mind they still thought that it was 9 p.m. Thanks to manipulation they were under the impression that it was 9 p.m., yet it was already 11 p.m. Whenever they watched the clock they saw that it was 9 yet they were under manipulation. Then we realized that the money that was provided to us by the dark world had ended. Quickly we invoke the angel of robbery, that is responsible for the disappearance of money everywhere in company and enterprise, so that he will steal money for us. And while we were dancing with these young ladies in the bar, I saw that they came under the control of the angel that control bars. This angel that is a goddess, dwell in the mirrors of bars, nightclub and disco. Indeed there is a woman, a goddess who sit in the mirrors of bars, nightclub and discotheque. This goddess influence and enchant people drinking and dancing in bars and nightclub. Brother, you must note that in all the bars and nightclub there are demons at the gates. There are also demons standing around people that are drinking and talking. There are also demons that stand in the toilet. Finally there are demons that follow people at home when they leave the bars. These are monitoring demons. I was drinking with these young lady and when I went to the toilet, quickly I saw an angel that had a huge vase. This recipient was full of pee from people attending the bar. Actually, whenever people came to pee, this demonic angel was collecting their pee in a cup and he was dropping them in the vase. These pee that are collected in the toilet by this angel was turned it to beer. This angel that operate in bars replaced normal beers with these pee that he transformed to beer that people drink in bars. These demons replace normal beers with pee that he collect in the toilet. We were in bar drinking but when it was 1 a.m., these girls realized that it was not 9 anymore and they began to wonder how they would go home. I suggested that we find a hotel to sleep. When they agree we left to the hotel at the 14th Street. Brother, in many bars and nightclub in the world demons stand in the toilet in order to get the pee of people in the bars and turn them to beers that people would drink. Many things that people eat in the night in those bars and nightclub were human flesh turned to animal meat. Thus one of our mission was to cause humanity to eat human flesh, for eating meat that is human flesh has implication in many level. I mean you will have health or mental issue. The beer that is pee and the normal beers is the same in terms of taste. But spiritually this beer from pee destroy capacity that God has placed in men. We were in the hotel with these girls and we needed them to sleep deeply, therefore we blew smoke of enchantment. As a result they slept deeply after inhaling the smoke of enchantment. As soon as they slept we went on to operate astral traveling. I went out my body and I traveled to the temple in order to summon the spirit of these girls and capture their stars. When I left my body I traveled in the speed of thought to the temple. Immediately I summoned the spirit of these ladies in the temple in order to capture their stars. 4 of these girls responded to the magic prayer, but one of them resisted our magic formula that I was doing. Given that one of these girls was resisting magic formula I summoned more entities, such as the transporter spirit, the charger spirit and the elevator spirit. We held each other's hand and we unified our strength in order to summon the spirit of this lady. However, despite our efforts we were not successful and they could do nothing. I decided to abandon this operation though I knew I would be punished by our priest. When I reported this failure to the priest, I was ordered to undergo punishment for this failure, for in the world Satan there is no mercy. When you are required to sacrifice your mother, you either do it or you die in her stead. Because of violence with which we were treated, I began to understand that there will be confrontation and misunderstanding with these priests because of threat of violence. When we were in the temple, we began to seize the star of these four ladies and all the potentiality that God has placed in them, for the devil has nothing, he only steal what God give people. Whenever he see people potential and blessing in the crystal bowl, he is desperate to steal it. We were reading people destiny and potentiality in crystal ball in order to determine their blessing and steal their star. People potentiality are like ball of crystal upon which you can read their blessing that God gave them. In order to steal these ladies' potentiality and star, we began to speak word of accusation. We said, given that you ate our food and you drank our beers and you enjoy our money, we have legality to attack you. In fact, in order to attack believers they had to open doors. We must find them in breach of God law, for we needed legality. When you sin you break the law, and you give the devil legality, and he will start accusing you. Thanks to magic formula and mystical prayer, these ladies were put in spiritual prison and their stars were captured. They continue their life but their star were stolen. Given that I was unable to capture the star of the fifth lady, my master the priest of the church went on to abduct the girl in the flesh in order to do ritual and capture her star. They tried hard and did magic prayer to steal her star. To our surprise, a shining man appeared and he took the girl away. I don't know what was happening and who was the shining man that took the girl. In the morning I learned that the young lady had become mental. She lost her mind. I felt that I should do something for her and restore her to consciousness. I needed to purify her so that she would return to normality. I kept the young lady in the hotel. Then I got a call that my son was in the coma in the hospital. Quickly I went to the hospital to see him. Then I went to the temple. Upon arrival the priest told me, you must offer us a soul in compensation for the young girl that you brought us, otherwise your child that is in the hospital will die. He is already in the bottle. Quickly the priest then show me my child that was in the bottle, and he tell me, you must offer the sacrifice. If you fail we gonna have to take your child. The following day I began to work in order to offer a human sacrifice. I was then informed that the following day, which was a Sunday, will be a day of thanksgiving. This service of thanksgiving take place in many countries where this satanic church is located. This time around it was supposed to be held in the Congo. This is an international gathering that was supposed to be attended by the Supreme Master, the devil, the one who is the source of our wealth, blessing and notoriety. Satan himself was supposed to attend this church service. On that day I was in the church for baptism, and after baptism I was supposed to rush to find a prey, a human sacrifice, as required by the priest. I was in a situation where my child was in the coma in the hospital. I had this young lady that had become mental that I left locked in the hotel. I was supposed to return her to her consciousness. On the other hand, I had to find a prey that was supposed to be a human sacrifice. While I was in the church, to my surprise the priest told me, fear not. Your child will not die today in case you fail to offer the sacrifice today. Therefore you must wait and attend the Thanksgiving service, for the Supreme Master himself will baptize you. On that day of Thanksgiving the church was packed with crowds of people that were from different nations. The crowds was massive. When it was midnight the gate of the church was closed, for the Thanksgiving service was to start. When the ceremony or the service began I was blown away by the organization and the crowds. People were assembled in uniform and some of them came from abroad for this ceremony. It was breathtaking. As we were gathered, paranormal phenomena began to occur. Firstly, we saw a mysterious hill that sprang up from the ground. The mysterious hill rose before the congregation of countless of people. Not long after the appearance of this mysterious mountain, I saw a black horse having wings and horn, coming from distance and rising to the top of the hill. The winged horse was then joined by a second winged horse having horn on top of the hill. These horses were huge and they were not of this earth. I heard the priest telling the countless crowds to close their eyes. There was an incredible silence. When the multitude closed the eye I sensed like a hairy beast passing by my side. But I kept my eyes closed as instructed by the priest. Then a powerful wind from the spirit world began to blow in the congregation. I had goosebump in my hair. Suddenly I began to hear the priest speaking demonic language and uttering words of praise and worship to the Supreme Master Lucifer. I heard him saying, "You are God, the only one, you are the Supreme Master, to you be glory." It was an incredible and breathtaking moment. Then I heard a bell ringing 3 times. Then the priest say to the congregation, "You can open your eyes." When the countless crowds had opened the eyes, I saw these 2 black wings horses on the top of the mountain. They were really huge and tremendous. Then I saw the arrival of Diva and Goddess of the spirit world. These siren came with mummies who had powder all over their face. They began to glorify the Supreme Master Lucifer with all the name of glory. I saw some people in the congregation on their knees in tears glorifying the devil exactly the way Christians glorify the Lord Jesus. The goddess and mummies did ritual and ceremony, and they were dancing macabre dance. Then they disappeared abruptly. As soon as they disappeared I saw another mountain rising from the ground going to space before the congregation. Finally I saw a humanoid entity coming down from heaven. This extraordinary man was tall and he was dressed in black vestment and he was holding a huge trident. This tremendous being was vibrating breathtaking power and energy. He had extraordinary authority. This entity was followed by a huge and powerful army of the fallen behind him. Behind the devil who stood at the top of this mountain, I saw a huge army made up of angels. I was observing this army when I saw all kinds of demonic beast, demonic birds and all kind of entity. In this army of Lucifer I saw various titans and Olympians gods that ruled the earth. I saw the Nephilim and the giant and they were tremendous and extraordinary. There were all kind of creatures. I saw a strange and demonic lion that you never seen before. I saw snake of 7 head and snake of many heads. I saw demonic and mythologic birds that were strange and don't exist on the earth. I saw hybrid demon that were half human and half animal. There were mythological creature that we study in ancient civilization. The army of Lucifer was behind him. When the devil, the enemy of God, came down, he said no word. He was in a vestment that was hiding his face, though we could see his green eyes that were shining like the eyes of wolf in the bush in the night. When W was observing the devil on top of the mountain and his army behind him, I felt that I was before a tremendous power and he was vibrating extraordinary energy. The devil instructed 5 angels of baptism to baptize the newly initiated. During the baptism the 5 angels killed people who disclosed the secret of the devil, and those who had failed in their assignment were also killed. I was baptized by the angel of baptism who baptized me by putting the letter S on my body, and the angel placed in me the spirit of animal. The angel undressed me completely. He put a little fire on my hand and I felt like the fire was moving all over my body. I saw the letter S appearing on my hand, and I felt like I was paralyzed. I heard the voice of Satan saying to his angel, "Baptize him so that he will be merciless and he must recognize the gods." The angel then dressed me with an animal skin that was cut in half. When the baptism was finished I fell to the ground. When I woke to my surprise I was floating in a local river, and I was in a net that fishermen leave in this popular river. It was early morning. We are in a war. This earth is a battlefield and the church is in the war front against the fallen sons of God. And we are opposed by ancient gods, the rulers of the earth, that are colonizing the world of men. The Lord said, "Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood." In retrospective, I was invited to attend a church which was a congregation of Satan. For in the end time the Church of Jesus has become a battlefield, as the arch-enemy of God and men took control of many altars. Not long after joining the congregation of Satan I began to see unexplained phenomena and paranormal activity. In truth my spiritual eyes were been opened to see the horrendous and the monstrous reality of the spirit world, that is inhabited by hybrid demon, ancient titans and mythological monsters. Brother, the rulers of this earth are operating beyond the veil of the optical eyes. It was during my initiation that I began to work with the titans and ancient gods who ruled the earth. I saw ancient creature and horrendous mythological gods of ancient times. After my initiation in the occult I was given demons that was always with me, for wherever I went I was moving with dwarves demons. I was accompanied by a female devil and I was living with demonic creatures such as rhinoceros and demonic bird. After my initiation I was to be baptized, and it was during the baptism that for the first time I saw the prince of this world, the archenemy of God and the world of men. When the prince of this world showed up in this church, I saw his tremendous army on top of the mountain that rose up supernaturally before the congregation. The devil was accompanied with former sons of heaven. I saw humanoid giants of high stature and giants of ancient times. Among the soldiers of the army of Lucifer, they were hybrid demons, mythical snakes. I saw mythological animal. The sight of the army of the enemy that is waging war against the kingdom of heaven and humanity was formidable and breathtaking. Brother, we are in war against former resident of heaven, for they have seized control of the earth and they are the ruler of this world. We are in hostility and conflict with the ancient gods of mythology and titans that are holding human race in captivity. These tremendous beings are waging eternal war against the kingdom of light. The dictatorial regime of the devil is holding the human world in chains and captivity. However, you must know that no weapon that is formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that accuses you in judgment you will condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord. The Bible say, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death. When I joined this church of Satan, I was assigned to steal the stars, the potential and the destiny of 5 young ladies, but I have failed to steal the destiny and star of one of these young lady. Yet failure is always strongly punished in the world of Satan. The hierarchy was angry about this failure. As a result, I was ordered to offer a human life as a sacrifice. In order to compensate this failure or pay with my own life, I was to offer a human life before an international gathering of this secret order, called Thanksgiving. This service of Thanksgiving was attended by the Prince of this world himself. On that very day of Thanksgiving, I was supposed to offer a human sacrifice or pay with my life. Yet on that very dramatic day, I got a call from my family, telling me that my son was in the hospital in coma. On one hand I was to offer a human sacrifice, on the other hand I was to go to the hospital to attend my child that in coma. This was a punishment for failure to capture the star and potentiality of one of the 5 young lady that was our target. When I failed to capture the destiny, the potentiality and the star of this lady that was targeted by the world of Satan, the priest that was our leader got angry. In truth, the devil is poor. What he has is what he has stolen, for he only have what he has stolen, which are people's stars, destiny and potentiality that God gave them. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full. Quickly after attending the Thanksgiving service, that was attended by the prince of this world, the dragon, and his formidable army, I was to offer a human sacrifice, and failure to do so meant the death of my son that was in coma in the hospital. After the Thanksgiving service where I was baptized, on my way back home I saw the younger sister of the lady that I was holding in the hotel in hiding. This is the lady whose star and destiny I was to sacrifice, but I was unable to do so because of her faith. I was supposed to capture his star and destiny, but I failed. As a result I was punished and required to offer a human life in a sacrifice. The little sister was looking for her sister that I was keeping in the hotel in sequestration. The girl said to me, I am looking for my sister. You were drinking with her in the bar. I replied to her, I have not seen your sister, and I don't know where she is. Quickly the young girl tells me, brother, I dreamed a bad dream for you. In fact I dreamed that you had died. Be careful. Since I was in hurry I ignore this dream of warning. When I arrive at the hotel I saw her big sister that I was holding in the hotel. She was asking me to let her go. Later on the priest asked me to let her go, which I did. The priest then tell me to rush and find a victim that will be offered as human sacrifice. Failure to do so will result at the death of my son that was hospitalized and in coma in the hospital. On that day at midnight, I pull out my pyramid and my star. I lighted candles and I got a big pot of water. Quickly I began to summon the spirit of a 12-year-old boy that I knew in the neighborhood. He was my target for human sacrifice. As I continued to summon and call his name through incantation and magic prayer, finally his spirit appeared in the water that I had before me. When he showed up, I could see his live images in his house. When direct image of this 12-year-old boy appeared in the water, quickly I saw that behind him there was a little boy at the door, playing with a little wooden stick, saying, "Whoever entered this house, I will beat him." When I began to do magic formula and incantation, I was about to capture the spirit of this 12-year-old boy. However, something unpredictable happened. The little child that was playing at the gate with the wooden stick began to cry. As a result, his parent came out of the house. I was watching this direct image in the water in my altar. While this little child was crying, I saw his parent coming out of the house to check what was wrong with their son. When they came out in rush, they saw a cat, and they got scared. As a result, they entered in their house and they began to pray to God, for they were suspicious about this cat. People are always suspicious about cat in Africa, for witches often enter the body of cat to monitor people. Cat are vehicle of witches, cat are camera of witches. When the parent of this little child began to pray, quickly a strong and powerful wind blew in my mysterious temple and scattered everything. When the wind stopped, I lighted the candle again, and I prayed to the ancient gods for protection. In the meantime, the parent of the toddler were invoking fire from heaven. As they kept praying, I began to see the fire of God in my mystical temple. Immediately I asked for the intervention of demons that were in my temple. These demons that were my associate were hybrid demon, dwarves, demons and monsters. After the devastation of this prayer, we gathered together and quickly we went out in order to attack and punish the parent of this toddler. When we arrived before the gate of this house, I saw that things were grave and dangerous, for we encounter protective bright angels of God. They were cherubim at the gate. Brother, if you pray with seriousness, make no mistake, the protective cherubim are there around you. This was actually the first time for me to see the bright angel of God. In the past I have seen angel of Satan, I have seen the ancient Titan and the Olympian. Basically, when we came against this praying family, I was accompanied with many giants, many monsters and demonic beast. This family was praying as a result of fear of witchcraft. When they saw the cat, they did not take their prayer seriously, yet they just pray, but there was power in their prayer, though they could not realize it. They could not see what was happening in the unseen world when they were calling fire. Brother, you must understand that in the night a little cat can turn to a huge dragon and demonic beast. I was accompanied by eagles of Satan and demons in these mission. However, when we saw these protective angels of war that were opposing us, I saw that there was a tremendous and intense light that was coming from their body. In fact, we were blinded by this intense light coming from angels of war. I was trying hard to look at these celestial beings of light, but it was difficult to watch. I felt like we were surrounded. In the meantime, while we were trying to identify these angelic beings of light in this intense and blinding light, I could hear the voice of this family praying and calling fire and asking God to send his angels. They had no idea that angels of war were descended to fight for them. They just continued to pray. When I observed these warring angels, I saw incredible swords that I never saw on the earth. I don't know how to describe these flaming swords of fire of the army of heaven. It was breathtaking. When the angel moved their flashing swords against the giant and titans that were with me, you cannot imagine the destruction and bombing. There was stampede and we were scatter. I saw that these cherubim came with celestial lions and celestial eagles beyond description. These celestial animals were breathtaking and awesome. The heavenly lions and eagles attacked demonic elephants and demonic rhinoceros that came with hybrid demons against this family. We were overwhelmed and overpowered. I was shaking, and I received a call from the priest telling me, "I can see what is happening. I can see the battle you are facing. However, whether you like or not, you will offer the child in sacrifice. Otherwise it is your child that would die. So back off." And I returned to the temple. The priest told me, "You have no choice. You have to offer that 12-year-old boy, otherwise you die in his stead." Immediately I remember the prophecy of the lady that told me I saw that you die in the dream. Upon realization of death, I became more determined. The situation was critical. I was in my office when I saw that I became half animal, half human. I was transformed. My right side was that of a beast and my left side became monstrous. I could not even know who I was. I became something else. I had no choice but to sacrifice the boy. I told the priest, "Don't worry, I promise. I will definitely catch that boy. It's a promise." Immediately I went on to fly around the house of this boy. I saw by far the guardian cherubim standing before the gate and guarding the place. These celestial warriors were breathtaking and tremendous. I could not approach the soul being. I wish that the Lord would open your eyes to see the army of heaven fighting for you, for when you see them you will never fear anything on this earth again. They are mind-blowing and formidable. However, I was determined to sacrifice this child. Servant of Satan, don't give up. They are determined. I was strategizing against this boy. When it was dawn I went on to do installation of snares, booby trap. I said in myself, in the morning this boy goes to school. When he wake up in the morning there is a place in their compound where his mother wash him. When I identify the place where his mother wash him in their compound, immediately I placed a snare in that place. I also deploy the demon of surveillance and monitoring in that place. Then I went on to check where the boy play in the street. Once I found the place where the boy play, quickly I deploy another snare and another monitoring demon, and when I saw one of the toy the boy play with on the ground, I decided to place a demon in that toy. The purpose of this demon was to cause misunderstanding and conflict between the boy and his friends, so that he would be in breach and infringement. This would give me legality to enter and destroy him. For anger, a doorway in the spirit world. I was actually looking for a gateway of entry and legality in order to enter and destroy. While I was looking for legality, I saw where the mother dry the clothes of this child. I place a demon in that clothes dryer where they dried his clothes. I had to mine the field when people were sleeping in order to get him. I was placing snare and trap around his neighborhood, for the bright angels of war were stationed there at the gate of that compound, and I could not approach. When people were asleep, I spent all night placing snares and trap, in order to capture the boy. Brother, when we sleep we must understand that the enemy is at work strategizing against the day and placing snares, booby trap and trick everywhere, in order to cause us to fall. We are living in a minefield, therefore pray without ceasing, for the enemy know the street we will pass in the day. He know that we will go to school and to work. That's where he will place trap and snares against us. The enemy will come to our school and workplace and he will use our colleague in school and workplace. God children must wake up early in order to undo and destroy whatever the enemy has worked out as snares, trap and trick. For whatever happen in the day, happen first in the night in the spirit world. When we sleep there are always people plotting destruction and stagnation against us. On that day while people were sleeping I was placing mine everywhere. I was laying snares everywhere. I had to kill this child or died. My life was on the line. There is no mercy and compassion in the world of Satan. When it was dawn I had already finished placing trap everywhere. I sat in a relative distance waiting for the target to wake up. When it was dawn, I saw a morning evangelist passing. Then I saw a woman who was a seller of bread. She came to ask the mother of this boy the money for the bread that she took on credit. When I saw this saleswoman knocking on the door, I was upbeat. When I realized that the mother of this boy had debt, and she owed money to the saleswoman, quickly I said to myself, if the mother of this boy is in debt, if she owed anything to this saleswoman, this will be the gateway through which I will enter. It turned out that the mother of this boy was in debt for bread she took on credit, and this saleswoman came to collect the money. I said this is an opportunity for me to enter. Quickly I enter inside the saleswoman. I sent a demon of misunderstand inside the saleswoman. When the demon of misunderstanding had entered this woman, the unclean spirit began to talk in her mind and telling her to start a brawl and altercation with the mother of the boy. This demon that I sent in the mind of the saleswoman was the spirit of misunderstanding. We must understand that the mind of men is the battlefield of spiritual warfare. The devil often sends demon to attack the mind of God children. There are thoughts that come in the mind of God children that are caused by demon. Demons always whisper in the mind of men. Therefore this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you can repel the attack in the mind, When the demon of misunderstanding had entered the saleswoman, the latter began to say to herself in her heart, "If this lady that owe me money does not pay the money today, I will not listen to her." Actually, I told the spirit of misunderstanding that this saleswoman should not listen to anything that the mother of this boy would say, in order to cause them to have argument. Brother, there are demons that come to the mind of God children and would begin to talk to them in their mind. This conversation will be in the form of thoughts telling them to do things. The demon can come in your mind and he will start telling you, if that person talked to you badly, you should also react. You cannot let him put you down. You have to show him that you are somebody, and that you will not let anybody humiliate you. Demons always talk in the mind of God children. You will not know that you are having a conversation with an evil spirit unless you are filled with God's word and God's spirit. Otherwise you will follow the instruction of the demon that is having a conversation with you in the mind, and do their bidding. So the demon was talking to the mind of this saleswoman. The saleswoman began to talk to herself, saying this woman took the bread on credit, she must pay today. She began to knock very hard on the gate of this woman. She could not know that she was knocking very hard because she was under manipulation, but the manner she was knocking on that gate showed the conditioning of her mind that was under manipulation. Actually, when the woman was knocking the gate, I was already in her body. I mean, I have operated astral projection in her body. I had entered her body and I took control of her mind and she was under my influence. I mean, when she was knocking this gate, it was no longer her. I was the one that was knocking the gate using her mind and body, for I projected my consciousness and spirit in her. We must understand witches and wizards can enter and dwell in people's body like demons. I was inside the body of this saleswoman and I was knocking on her door in a brutal way, in order to cause misunderstanding and aggravation. The saleswoman said her heart, I am knocking on her gate but she is refusing to open. Today she will see. The saleswoman was already intoxicated by the demon of misunderstanding that was animating her. Moreover, I had operated astral projection inside the body of this saleswoman. She was not the one knocking hard on the door, for I was inside her body through astral projection and I was the one knocking hard on the door in order to upset the mother of this boy. I was strongly controlling this woman action for I was in her body. I want to warn God children, when someone is aggravated against you, when someone speak to you in a rude manner, you gonna need discernment, otherwise you will react in the flesh, and you will think that the person is acting by himself. In truth, when the people of this world put pressure on God children, they are just instrument and tool, for there is demonic manipulation beyond the veil. Brother, whenever you are subjected to violence and unfair treatment, you need discernment to understand that there is likely a demonic influence and manipulation behind the person that is harassing and mistreating you. This lady failed to discern the attitude of the saleswoman was demonic. She failed to see the influence behind the saleswoman. Right away she began to quarrel with the saleswomen. When I saw that they were quarreling, I left the body of the saleswoman. Brother, I was operating like a demon for I was able to multiply myself in many duplicate. I stood in a relative distance observing the two ladies quarreling. When the father of the boy came out in order to calm these ladies, quickly I summoned the angel of discord and conflict to attack and influence the husband of this woman. As a result he joined the brawl between her wife and the saleswoman. These people fought each other and injure one another. As a result angelic soldiers that were at the gate left. When they have left, we had legality. Quickly I capture the soul of the boy, and I put that soul in a bottle. When I captured the soul of the boy, immediately he fell sick and was taken to the hospital. However, if only her parent could confess their sin and pray for their child, they would have saved their son. I was instructed to follow the boy to the hospital and finished him off. When I went to the hospital to visit the child, I met his parent. They asked me to lend them some money for their child was hospitalized. I gave them the money they wanted. They failed to understand that prayer was the only weapon that could save their child. When I went to visit the boy in the hospital, he told me, "Uncle, how can you let me die?" Bruh, I knew this family and this boy, but I had already become demonic animal. I had the heart of a ferocious beast. There was no mercy and empathy in my heart. I went to the hospital with a drink that was blood that I offered the child. When the child drank it, his death was sealed. Her mother, that was not a woman of prayer, also asked to drink that juice which was blood. Quickly the priest called me and asked me, Why did you let the woman drink the juice? You gonna have to initiate her in the occult. She must serve us." 2 weeks later the child was dead. While people were crying in his funeral, I saw his spirits eating before their house. The soul of the child attended the funeral for 3 days, before going to captivity in the world of Satan. This family lost the war because they were carnal Christian. They had double life. They were neither cold nor warm. Brother, what you see little things in the day but in the night it can become great things. This is a church where people stare a stolen, where people are initiated on occultisms. There was no pastor but priests that were leaders in this place. There were so many ceremonies and ritual in this place, in this church. Often when I operate astral traveling I would use any object around me. I mean I would turn it to a car or a plane in the astral world. 020888728661. It was early morning when I arrived home. I saw the mother of the young lady that I left in the hotel. She was asking me whether I was her daughter. I denied that I knew where she was. Immediately I went to the hotel. On there,